Hello everyone, welcome back to the Fetch Quest podcast, where we talk about video games and more. Today, I am your host, Guy, and I am joined by my fellow co-host, Connor.
Hello.
Brewer.
Hey everybody.
And Jay.
How's it going, everyone?
So, how have you guys been, and what you guys playing right now?
Dude, I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 recently. I'm having a great time with it. It's a very good D&D sim, and damn, I've been simping for Shadowheart like fucking crazy. Like, God, dude. Oh, God, I love my goth mommies.
Man, I've been playing.
Okay, what about you, Jay?
I've been playing a lot of FromSoft games. I went through and played Bloodborne. And loved that game, and now I'm currently on Armored Core 6. And God, I was getting my ass kicked earlier. It was so much fun.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I love
Sounds
it.
about right. How about you, Connor?
Well, I do wish I could be playing Mortal Kombat 1 right now, but this stuff's still downloading. It's really bad.
How big is the file? Like, what's going on with that?
140 gig, 100.
Jesus Christ, man, 140?
What in the hell? Are Omni-Man's ass cheeks like 20 gigabytes?
I mean, I guess so. This game's incredibly unoptimized, and like, as someone who's seen a lot of the gameplay, I really don't feel like this stuff is 140 gigabytes.
That's crazy. That must... Dude, imagine Omni-Man's ass cheeks, where each individual cheek is like 10 gigabytes in size. That's
probably true.
That's 3 Final Fantasy VIIs per cheek. So Omni-Man's ass is 6 Final Fantasy VIIs.
You got that right.
3 Mario Wonders per cheek, approximately.
You're goddamn right.
But with that being said, guys, today's topic, we're going to be talking about video game optimization, or rather the unoptimization of it. Why is it good? Why is it bad? Should games focus more on optimization than trying to look good? Should games try to do better in their file size? We're going to be talking about this and more today. So boys, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We are living in a really shitty situation with modern AAA developers. We are living in a time where financials are put over the art form in terms of get that bank first, and we're starting to see this. We're starting to see this in a lot of big releases nowadays, where
we're in the wrong timeline.
Games are either being unfinished or unoptimized, and we're going to be talking about the unoptimized part of it first. But essentially what that boils down to is that games, their file size are unnecessarily ginormous to a point where the file sizes are taking up like a third of entire consoles in terms of file size. So people are constantly having to rotate different games to download and install just so they can play their games properly. And the other part of the optimization problem is the performance issues and the developers not spending time of making sure the game even fucking runs right on the systems that people are playing them on. So, boys, I want to hear some input on this. I want to hear y'all's like stories and like hear y'all's like input on like some really bad examples.
And in my opinion, it's extremely depressing whenever like all these AAA developers, like they're AAA developers, but like you said, like they're prioritizing making bank over the performance of their games. Like Activision, like they're a huge one. Like the COD games they keep pushing out every year's same copy and paste shit.
COD games try not to take up half of your file storage challenge. Impossible.
Yeah, like they're unnecessarily large. Like, what's COD sitting at right now? Like close to 200 gigs, probably.
Yeah,
I remember.
You first.
But and the game's not even good. Like, it's not only is the file size unnecessarily large, like the game's optimization performance-wise is horrible. Like that's one of the best examples of this topic today. Is Call of Duty, because the file size is massive for no reason. Like you go.
I think just when you have a machine like Call of Duty that's constantly pumping out games, unfortunately there's going to be aspects that suffer, whether just the design in general, but also the optimization. I mean, we see this with like Pokemon 2, its most recent game, Scarlet and Violet. I mean, Sword and Shield had issues too, but like, holy fuck, did Scarlet and Violet have issues at launch, and they still have them now because they they didn't patch them out like they promised. Fun.
Scarlet and Violet is probably the most rushed game I've ever seen in my life. Well, no, that's not true.
Which is so sad.
That's not true, but it's one of.
Well, it's the most rushed Pokemon game we've ever gotten.
Oh, for sure, bar none.
Out of any of them, which is really sad because like it's one of the ones that had like the most potential. Like parts of it were really fun.
Oh, yeah.
When my game wasn't freezing while trying to catch a single Pokemon in the overworld.
Or I wasn't becoming.
The sad part is, it's not even an exaggeration what I said, because that literally happened multiple times. Like, I have screen recordings on my Switch of the game just freezing up because I tried to catch a mouse hold.
The mouse
That's
hold
terrible.
said, fuck you. I'm gonna kill your system. You're not catching me.
But I think that's actually a really good transition point into like the making bank aspect. Is that Pokemon is the biggest franchise in the world, on the fucking planet, possibly even the universe.
Dude, it makes even more than fucking Hello Kitty.
Seriously?
Which is crazy.
Yes,
no,
Pokemon's
seriously.
number
one. And the thing is that they're always rushing out to make more money. Like, the generations of Pokemon have like a 3-year schedule where like they always run for 3 years so that you can get the games released first, so that people can do that first, then the trading card game, then the anime, and it's always run on this 3-year cycle so that they can make the mass amount of profits for each Pokemon of that generation, try to milk it as much as they can, which, to be fair, fucking works. Because, I hate to say it, but like, okay, their Pokemon designs are still really good. I don't care what people say about Pokemon designs being bland nowadays. I think they're really sick, actually. And that I hate admitting that because it's all part of their business strategy.
Okay.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I'm part of the problem. I buy way too many Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Same here.
I mean, there's some Pokemon out there that you can tell like definitely isn't their best work, but I agree with you. There is some still really cool Pokemon designs out there.
And here's the thing,
like you said earlier, sick. What's up, Connor?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, it's like, you can tell the people who actually make the games do try to actually make effort into it, because, like, for example, the recent Scarlet and Violet DLC, there's this really cool function they added where you can just become a Pokemon, and like any Pokemon, you can run around as like Lugia or Magikarp or whatever, and it's a really cool looking feature. But it's because they are constantly rushing out games, we can't get actually like quality stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I'd say cases like Pokemon and COD and like Lord knows what else, Cyberpunk as well. It's not always cases of like.
I'm not gonna. Whoa! Cyberpunk wasn't really like.
Let's wait on Cyberpunk.
Yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah, we'll wait on that.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say, cases like those, I don't think it's developers not being passionate and not being hardworking. It's more so they were given 10 hours to do a 10,000 hour task.
No, yeah, but and I agree with
rushing
that.
it out.
I agree with that.
But
That's exactly what happened to
like,
Cyberpunk. Is that a?
Oh yeah.
You first, Jay.
I was gonna say, what would you guys say like the time frame between each Pokemon game is? Like, how many years apart are they? Because I never really paid much attention to it. 3 years? Okay, between each game.
Sometimes 6 months.
Sometimes 6 months. I feel like that's COD.
Here's what's really fucked. Here's what's really fucked. The Pokemon schedule has been by 3 years for the longest time. This is a very outdated model. It used to work back in 2011 and like 2008, but not anymore, because the bigger games get and the more advanced hardware that we're making these games on, the longer it takes to make these games at least like well polished and good. And we started seeing this in like the 3D Pokemon era. Like Pokemon X and Y, great games. I wouldn't consider them the best though, because you got to think of the perspective of the developers. They shifted from 2D to fucking 3D. That's a massive change for an entire franchise. So for them to only do that in 3 years was kind of pushing it in terms of like what they could do and their resources, but keep doing that for advancing hardware, like for hardware that is constantly getting more advanced and requires more time to understand and play test and everything. But do that on a 3 year keep doing the same thing that keeps getting harder and harder and harder, but you're still given only the same time frame. That's what's happening with Pokemon right now.
It's basically like when you're, like I say, exercising or something, your coach is all like, all right, give me 10 laps. You run it, you're fucking exhausted, but then you have to run 10 more, and you still have to keep within the same time frame you did the other ones. So each time you got to do that, you're gonna run out of energy until eventually you collapse. Yeah, that's kind of what's happening here. They're given the same time frame to keep doing what's gonna be more work and more taxing, and then eventually it's collapsing right now, where we're seeing just a lot of these games coming out. You're glitching through the floor. The frame rate is at -5 frames per second. You're lucky to see your character move. They grow randomly.
And a lot of times that's not the dev's fault, like you guys just said, but sometimes it is. Like there are some devs out there that there's almost no excuse for how bad their game is when it came out.
Yeah, you first.
Publisher is always going to be the biggest one.
Yeah.
But some of the devs ain't perfect. I do want to say Pokemon devs definitely ain't perfect. Look at their code.
Yeah. But
I mean, like,
there's you first.
I mean, like, we were talking about Cyberpunk. Like, that wasn't the dev's fault. That was the publisher's fault.
Oh yeah, no, they wanted their fucking Christmas money. That's what they wanted.
Oh yeah, yeah. Cyberpunk was not the dev's fault. CD Projekt Red is still a really great developers. It's just the publishers really screwed them with Cyberpunk.
And the thing is, they fixed the game, actually. Like, it runs really well. They redid all the combat. It's actually, like, a really good game now, and it's just that it took years for that to actually get fixed, which is really unfortunate because of, like, the game was extremely unoptimized at launch.
Yeah, it shows just how unready the game was.
It was in such a bad state that, like, Sony was fucking offering refunds, like... That's something they almost never do.
Like, Cyberpunk was a massive project with not nearly enough time. But you gotta respect CD for at least fixing it, though. You
of course.
I mean, it's kind of a half respect thing. It's like, I'm happy you finished it, but at the same time, is like, should I really be thanking you for finishing the thing I paid you like $60 damn for? Like, hey, good job. You did the job I told you to.
Well, again, I think that they did.
No, don't get me wrong, but it'd kind of be like if, like, I paid someone to go do my floor within a week time span. I gave them like $5,000. They finished half of it. They fucked off for like 3 months. They came back, did the rest, and I didn't get any amount refunded for that. And I'm like, hey, good job. You only finished half, but you came back and you did it. Amazing work.
What were you saying, Connor?
Well, I was going to say, again, it's like Jay said, it wasn't really the dev's fault. It was, if we're specifically talking about, like, Cyberpunk, it would be more like...
No, I know, but I'm just going to direct this at, like, upper management. Like, I never want to blame the devs. Like, sure, they can make mistakes every now and then, but... I'm fully saying this towards the publishers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck you. You were not messiahs for just cracking a whip at your dev team after the game releases to put day one patches in.
Yeah, the fact that you even have to do day one patches for games at all is insane.
I feel like From Software is like the only devs that haven't done day one patches in forever.
That was my next point. That was actually my next point.
Yeah.
Just because we're calling out like a lot of AAA developers does not mean that like there aren't developers out there that are doing a lot to try and make sure their games run well. The biggest example as of recent that I can think of is from Software with their revival of the Armored Core series with Armored Core 6 and Elden Ring.
Definitely.
Elden Ring is... As of right now, this is prior to the DLC when this is recording, it is 50 gigabytes, and for reference, my first playthrough took me 95 hours, and I did not do everything, and it is about 50 gigabytes. Meanwhile, we have games like Mortal Kombat 1, which are releasing today, which the campaign is only like 5 or 6 hours at max. to complete, and it is 25 gigabytes to download the campaign.
Yeah. There is a point I want to bring up that, like...
Even if we...
You go.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, even if we compare it to, like, even if you don't want to compare it to a fighting game, for another good example would be, like, Horizon. The Horizon's, like, Zero Dawn is around 100 gigabytes. And as someone who's played Horizon, it's not nearly as expansive as Elden Ring.
That's kind of crazy, considering that, like, Guerrilla is still pretty new as, like, a developer team, so, like, for them to... I don't know, again, this is more so, like, a devs versus publisher thing. Is this a Sony thing, or is it, like, a devs thing? Because Guerrilla was really new, so I don't know if they knew everything about optimization at the time, or was it just Sony saying, hey, we want this product out now so we can compete with Breath of the Wild or Elden Ring, you know what I mean?
I mean, that's kind of what it felt like for Forbidden West, definitely, since it was another open world game and it was released right with Elden Ring. But, and I just want to make it clear, just because like we're calling out these games doesn't mean we like hate them. I personally really like both Horizon games. I haven't finished Forbidden West, but I really like it. It's just that they are flaws that we need to look at, because
it's criticism out of love.
Because even if you like something, you've got to point out flaws. Like, I really like Brewer, but Brewer kind of mean to me sometimes. He hurts my feelings.
See, similar thing. I really like Guy, but sometimes I also want to duct tape his mouth to make sure I don't ever have to listen to him again.
Y'all need to understand the opposite of a brain is a cock.
Okay, time to get the duct tape.
But
the point I was
going back to that point. Yeah, go for it, Jay. Go for it.
A point I was gonna make is there is some games where like you sort of have to be lenient with the devs, but like for example, like Baldur's Gate 3, massive game file, but the game is also massive and is pretty well optimized for how massive the game is. Like you said, like what, it was 150 gigabytes? Is that what you said?
It varies depending on the system that you're on, because like they have to like change assets and shit for depending on the console or like the system it's on. But I think on PC it's like 150 gigabytes.
But I was also going to talk a little bit about
either way, it's a massive game, and I think just like it's understandable with games that are like hundreds of hours long that they probably need a lot of storage space for that.
Yeah, of course.
Mortal Kombat, why do you have a lot of reused assets and whatnot?
It's like compared to Mortal Kombat, Baldur's Gate 3 is like, why the hell is Mortal Kombat about the same size as Baldur's Gate 3, but Baldur's Gate 3 English has like what, 200 hours of content, if not more.
Yeah,
it's extremely replayable too. That's the thing.
Oh yeah.
For reference, this was actually something Guy brought up. If you were to play Spider-Man 2 and also have all of like Astarion's dialogue in the background, you would.
There was a video that I saw the other day. It was all of Astarion's dialogue, and it's about 11 and a half hours long. But you continue, Connor.
Music and like voice files take up a shit ton of space. That's why like whenever like games come out and they don't like have languages as separate downloads, that's usually not the best, because then you have like 30 extra gigabytes just from straight different dialogue options you're never going to hear because it's a different language.
But as you're saying, Connor.
Yeah, and Guy pointed this out to me. If you were to play Spider-Man 2 while also having that in the background, you would make it through 80% of Spider-Man 2. And did you say you would only be like, you would be done with Astarion's dialogue by then?
Yeah, if you were to play like a video of all of Astarion's dialogue, which is about 11 and a half hours, by the way, and you were to play Spider-Man 2 at the exact same time and nothing but the story, you would be 80% of the way through Spider-Man 2's story by the time Astarion's dialogue finished, like all that entire recording.
And
which I think is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's one character. That's one of 6 main party members in that game, with all of them having like 11 hours worth of dialogue.
That's
bro, how long did they keep them damn voice actors locked up in the chamber?
Dude, I
held a gun to their head and was like, "Speak."
Dude,
Please,
here's
I want to go home. That's a great line too. We're adding that in. Now say it again.
Oh no.
I wonder how many times they had to re-record stuff because of like how many funny interactions are in the game.
Oh no. I couldn't keep.
Yeah,
I couldn't keep
it's
this
probably
face.
a lot.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But that's just. But there is, going back to that, like, Baldur's Gate 3 is an example of a game that's, like, extremely fucking big, not only as a game in scope, but also, like, file size. But it makes up for it by giving you so many diverse options that it makes that size worth it. That's just something we can't say for, like, a lot of games nowadays. Here's a good one. That's like 130 gigs last time I checked. Forspoken, my favorite video game.
Dude,
Oh, yeah.
how can you
Hooray.
not like Forspoken? It's got funny MCU dialogue. Everyone loves MCU dialogue, right?
Dude, it's
Honestly,
awesome.
I know nothing about Forspoken, like story, gameplay.
Keep it that
nothing.
way.
I just know that a lot of people.
yeah,
I just know people didn't like it.
I watched an entire playthrough of the game. It's dog shit.
I think maybe we should turn it around to some different examples. Like we've been talking like 100 and 100. Like, hey, this one did good with 100, but let's talk about Nintendo being the damn gods of optimization and somehow fitting Tears of the Kingdom into like what 17 gigabytes.
Okay, honestly, they're kind of forced to optimize it, but to be fair, they did it really fucking well.
I mean, yeah,
they
forced
had to.
optimization, but it's still good optimization.
Yeah,
No, that's a good thing to talk about though.
And I think it's good that they're forced to, because that's the main reason like other devs like keep fucking doing this shit. Because like back in the past, we didn't have these issues nearly as much, because like you had your cartridge or disc, you had a limited amount of space on it. Maybe if you're lucky, you could grab a disc 2 or disc 3,
and you couldn't update the
but
fucking
other
game.
than that, you just gotta work with what you got. But now, because everything is like online updates, you have extra storage on the console, which, let me make this clear, it is a good thing that we have these. It is a good thing. But there are the caveats that, because we have them, now the publishers are going to be like, I don't know if we want to put all of this on the disc. That's just so expensive for us, even though we're multi-billionaires.
They're like,
fuck it.
I don't feel like it. I don't feel like putting out a
30
finished
gigabyte
game.
patch.
We'll just finish it later. I don't feel like putting out a finished game, and we'll just finish it later. That's what they do. And it's
So
really
a
unfortunate.
lot of this is just coming from the tech we have now and them not being forced to optimize it.
Oh yeah.
That is something. Going back to that point, with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, those are examples of, I think, games that they are optimized to a T. They do not run bad at all. I'm gonna be for real. I don't understand the complaint with Tears of the Kingdom with it not running well on Switch. I only had like 3 frame drops in like my 150-hour playthrough. I don't understand that criticism.
And that was a point I was going to bring up with Elden Ring, is that game had a very slightly performance issues when it came out, if I remember right. But that's because the game's massive on PC. That's because the game is massive. Like, there's going to be some issues.
I think PC is a bit of a different breed, because PC players, like, I have a pretty decently spec'd up PC. But even then, if I tried to play like any modern game port, I'm probably going to run into problems, because PC ports have just not been optimized all too well.
Yeah, because everyone's PC
like
is
Forspoken,
different. Like, that's the big issue.
Forspoken that we brung up earlier, and like PCs are very different. A lot of them do run on very similar bases. So like Forspoken was requiring some like stupid fucking high specs for graphics that just weren't exactly doing it. Like, I have a 3060 in my PC, which is like, it's pretty decent. It can run things really well. Like, I can run Doom Eternal on like max settings, and it looks gorgeous. But if I tried to play Forspoken, I would probably be running into stuttering and issues, because it's just not optimized well.
No, there's a game that I
get
really
that.
want to bring up that I think every single one of us will laugh at, is fucking Golem. Is just the disaster that was that game. The graphics are bad. It ran at a shitty frame rate. Like, it was just poorly optimized. You couldn't even finish the game.
Golem
Like,
is
there was
beyond
some
optimization. It's just a shit game.
Yeah, there's some
I don't-
game-breaking
yeah.
bugs that allowed you to that just fucking made it where you couldn't finish the game. English is bad, Jesus. But
I actually didn't know you couldn't finish the game.
Yeah, there was a bug that literally
game.
made it to where you couldn't finish the game. It was a bug, I think, in like chapter 8. Yeah, there was a bug that made it to where you couldn't finish the game.
It's kind of wild people even found that bug though, considering they would have to play through Golem.
Yeah, yeah. It's like very far into the game. There's a bug that literally just locks you out of finishing the game.
That's probably why none of us have heard about it, because it's very far into
and
Golem.
Nobody played that far. Nobody.
Yeah, fuck that.
True.
That game was just a steaming pile of garbage.
The only people that are playing through that far are like YouTubers that are doing it for a vid. It's like, all right, guys, I played Golem,
so you didn't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
A bunch of videos titled that way.
That's a good point though. That's such a fucking awful game. Oh my lord. I completely forgot about it until y'all just brought it up. I'm not even kidding.
I forgot about it too. I was like, oh yeah, that's such a great example.
you know what? Maybe that's for the better that we all forgot about it.
True.
Some things are best left forgotten.
Yeah, true.
What's a
Cyberpunk will launch?
One game I want to talk about that no one fucking brings up. I remember the articles of this game about its file size when it got announced and how like big it was, or like a big deal it was, especially since it uses 2 discs. Is a Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
how big did you say it was?
It is 100 gigabytes, and it requires 2 discs, one for download, one for play.
That's pretty wild, considering the original Final Fantasy VII, the whole game was 3 discs, and Final Fantasy VII Remake is the first 5 hours of the original Final Fantasy VII. Stretched
out to a 30-hour slogfest, yes.
If you guys can tell by repeated viewings, Guy does not like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Remake, sorry.
Yeah. Well, you probably won't like Rebirth either.
They're good. Look, they're good games. They're not Final. It's not Final Fantasy VII, but
hey, that's for an upcoming video.
But what I'm getting at with this is that Final Fantasy VII Original had to optimize a lot, because not only was it on the PlayStation 1, which had limited hardware and limited space for storage. Mm-hmm. So the developers had to work around that with the 3 disc, which worked out very well in the end. But compare this to the remake, where it's only about 60 hours worth of content in terms of like what to do. It's 100 gigabytes that requires 2 fucking discs to play, one for download, one for play, and it's not even justifiable. It's not even the full story or anything. And it doesn't even have the justification of it being like an open world, so it's like 100 gigabytes, yeah, sure. It's a fucking hallway simulator.
Dude, you want to know something wild that happened to me because of the 2 disc thing?
What?
So, my mom was in Goodwill before, and she happened to see like a video game in the case, and she was like, oh, he likes video games. So she took a picture and sent it to me. She was like, hey, do you want this? And it was like Final Fantasy VII Remake. I was like, oh, sure, yeah, that sounds cool, especially for being $3. So I get the game, and the disc 1 was in there, and I looked, and the second disc was like some stupid vampire movie. And I was like, shit. I looked it up. I was like, well, god damn it. It's one of the very few PS4 games that uses a 2-disc system.
That's is fucking hilarious. Holy shit.
So I can't play the game because it requires 2 discs, and one of them was replaced by the donor with a shitty vampire movie.
Dude, please tell me that was like a knockoff porn video. Please tell me that was like a porno.
I never checked it. Lord, I know it's probably Blackula or something.
He gave up. He looked at it and was like, what the fuck?
The Revenge of Blackula.
No, my $3 was wasted.
What the fuck?
Holy
yeah, the worst thing is I couldn't even return it either because video games were not considered electronics for some reason.
What?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and I wasn't there to check the disc myself because I was just I was at home because my mom took a picture of the back of the disc, but I had like no fucking clue that Blackula was hiding behind there.
That's really fucking funny.
That is really funny. But yeah, that is a problem with going back to like the 2-disc problem. I hate that we're entering an age where it's okay to just have 2-disc in your game, like if you're getting the physical version, and that be okay. Actually, hold up, I have a really good example of this. Let me go find it right quick. The Last of Us Part 2, by the way, also kind of a hallway simulator, very linear game. If you've ever played Last of Us 1 or 2, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure it's 100 gigs and it has two discs. Let me check right quick.
Wait,
that would be very funny considering the fact that guy is afraid of the number 2.
So yeah, guys, I'm looking at the case right now, and on the back it says 100 gigabytes minimum, and it has 2 discs in it. And mind you, this is a 20-hour experience.
That's very funny because that's a bunch of number 2s. It's Last of Us Part 2, 2 disc, and the 2 and 20. It's Guy's worst fear.
Dude, the fact that
was
2.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
this was destined to be the worst game ever made.
He has duophobia. I think that's what it's called, right?
It's like
fear to number 2.
Yeah.
Duophobia.
That was really funny. But I don't
Any
know if this
game
was
with the
true
number
or
2
not.
in it, he hates.
Yeah, I don't know if this was true or not, but I saw like this really on my phone. Like I have articles that pop up, and the name of the article was like a Last of Us 2 remake got announced, and I don't know if it's real or not. I was like, what the fuck? Or Last of Us 2 remake?
Probably is.
Last of Us 2.
They are gonna milk the absolute fucking shit out of that franchise.
They already have. Yeah.
They have been milking it.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying.
I didn't really
They're gonna
believe it.
They're gonna keep milking it, dude. We're gonna be on the PS7 or something, and we're gonna have like 50 different like Last of Us 2 remakes.
So remaster.
Yeah, so Jay, no, they're already doing a remaster for The Last of Us Part 2.
Didn't it also release on PS5?
Yeah.
No, it did not release on PS5.
Did it not?
Okay.
It released on
Damn.
PS4, so
No,
it basically
no.
released on PS5.
Okay, you can play the PS4 version on 5,
Yeah.
Okay,
but they're
there's no
making a
point.
PS5 exclusive version that's a remaster.
There's no point in making it, but like
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Wait, Connor, there is a point. Money.
Yep.
It won Game of the Year somehow, so like it makes sense.
Yeah, that's what we like to call
still crazy.
bribery.
And game journalists suck.
What it win against? By the way, what didn't it?
Hades.
Like
I think didn't it win against Hades?
Hades,
Doom Eternal.
Hades, Ghost of
God
Tsushima,
of War, right?
Doom
Yeah.
Eternal, Animal Crossing, and Final Fantasy VII Remake.
okay, but
So like other than Final Fantasy VII Remake, some pretty stacked games, all things considered.
like
Yeah,
Ghost of
like-
Tsushima, fucking banger. I love that game. Ghost of Tsushima.
Doom
is
Eternal.
amazing.
I played Doom Eternal. I've played Hades. I've played fucking Animal Crossing, and all of those are better than Last of Us 2.
I mean, it was 2020. That was like one of the worst years ever, so it does make sense that a bad game would win Game of the Year then.
That's very true.
Yeah, but going back to like the performance thing, that's kind of absurd to think that like, especially in that time era, like in 2020, like we were still foreign to like the idea of a game being larger than like 70 gigabytes, and now they're just fucking everywhere. Because like going back to the Final Fantasy VII remake point that I was talking about earlier, I remember when articles for the game were fucking everywhere saying, oh my god, this is going to be one of the biggest video games ever made. It's 100 gigabytes, yada yada.
Yeah, I
and then
remember
now
that
it's like, it's become the standard, which is...
Really unfortunate.
And now it's become the standard, which I'm like, that's fucking crazy.
Dude, how big is Rebirth gonna be?
Oh no.
It's gonna be.
I don't know.
This is
I'm
where
looking
we
it up right now.
introduced the 3-disc system.
I mean, that was what the original
my
Final Fantasy
God.
VII had. Though that was for good reason.
Yeah. 'cause
Oh
it
my
is-
fucking god, it's 150 gigabytes.
Oh,
Dude,
no.
that's just as big as the best game ever, Forspoken.
Dude, I'm
Oh
gonna
my
say this.
God.
23
Rebirth at least gonna be
gigabytes
the
are
full
going to
game?
Sephiroth's hair.
Yo, you're not
That was
even
funny
wrong.
as fuck.
You're not even wrong.
every like 5 strands of hair is a single gigabyte.
That's ridiculous.
Sure, that's how math
That would
works.
be really funny.
Is Rebirth at least
That
the
would
whole
be
game?
really
I have no
fucking
idea
funny.
what Rebirth is supposed to be.
It's not the full game.
It's from the end of Midgar to spoilers, I guess. It's a fucking old game. It's the most spoiled thing ever in video games.
We'll just say a sad moment. Basically, a
that
big
one sad moment.
climax
Okay.
point
So
in the
it's
game.
From there, and
Yeah,
then they
that's
have
what
to do a
Rebirth is
whole
covering.
other game covering the last part of the fucking game. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, because
It is.
welcome to modern game capitalism.
Like what the? Why
Welcome
the
to
fuck do they
Nomura.
take?
That's
Like, why did they take such a loved game like Final Fantasy VII and split it into 3 different games? There's no
Maybe.
reason for that.
It would be better if it
Milking
was
the shit out of it.
It would also be better if it was actually just a straight remake, but no, like apparently according to the guy, it also like rewrites and changes a bunch of stuff.
Again, there's
they're not killing. They're not killing Earth.
there's a lot.
They're not
Really?
killing Earth.
There's a lot we could say on that, but that's for a future episode that will be coming out soon.
Yeah,
I really
yeah,
want to
that-
be
that-
on that episode just to stir the pot because I haven't played either of them, but it would be really funny for me to stir the pot.
That's for future though. Going back to like performance and whatnot. That's a whole different video. But I don't know. It's crazy because like that game, like it was one of the first games ever to be like over 150, over 100 gigabytes, and now it's just fucking everywhere. And it's crazy because I remember when this used to be the exception, not the fucking standard, and that's something I really want to call out on video games, and or at least like just modern AAA.
Well, especially because like the storage mediums like are pretty damn expensive right now. Like you want a couple terabytes, it's gonna cost you close to $100 just to play your damn video games because COD's taking up like 3 of your fucking SSDs.
Guy sent me like a thing for more storage on my PS5, and it was $120.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
You need it.
Well, mind you,
I mean, that is a terabyte though. That is a terabyte.
it
So
is,
that's
yeah,
pretty worth.
it's a terabyte.
Dude, a
But-
terabyte isn't even worth anything though nowadays. It's a crazy thing.
One game
You're right,
takes
actually.
up 1/10 of the fucking terabyte.
Also, because like micro SD cards are putting into like terabyte formats now, and those are like $80, $100. Yeah. I don't know. I think a lot of the storage for like the PS5 and Xbox Series X are very overpriced.
I don't have any.
Oh no, they
games
are.
on my
The
PS5
reason
yet.
why is because like
That and
So
like,
what?
I was gonna say too, like, along with the fact that the on-base storage for these consoles is not massive. Like, this is a problem all the major consoles have. Like, the Switch barely has anything. Like, as good as Nintendo is with optimizing their games, you were basically required to get a micro SD card. And then the Xbox Series X and PS5, yeah, you're gonna have to buy more storage if you play any of the big name games.
Yeah, I just recently got a PS5, and all I did was I got Street Fighter 6 and then Horizon Forbidden West. Those are basically the only games that I ever knew, and everything else is transferred over from my PS4. And I didn't even transfer everything. I didn't transfer Doom Eternal or Spider-Man PS4 because I literally couldn't because I ran out of space. Oh, I also have Baldur's Gate 3, but I had to download a bunch of games in order for me to get that.
worth.
Yeah.
Worth.
I haven't even played it yet.
I mean,
But
That's a good game.
that's yeah. It's a marketing strategy. It really is. Cause I remember the fucking the consoles of the previous generation would automatically, or at least like their pro versions, would come with 1 terabyte of storage. So it's kind of fucking crazy to me that like the PS5 did not automatically come with a terabyte. It came with 500 gigabytes, which
Yeah.
we're just now getting the version of the PS5, which is like the PS5 Slim, that comes with 1 terabyte.
That is so stupid.
Yeah, and I also just want to say, like, some of the games I have aren't even that big. I have Elden Ring, which, as we said, is 45 gigabytes. I have God of War 2018, which is around 40 gigabytes. I have Persona 5 Royal, which you would think is pretty big. It's only 37 gigabytes.
which is insane.
That's fucking crazy.
On PS4.
That's good optimization.
No, here's the thing. That's actually an unoptimized version of Persona 5. I've found this out when Royal came out.
It's kind of weird with Persona 5 because it's had so many re-releases. Then, like, Persona 5 was originally on the PS3, but is also simultaneously released on the PS4 because how long it took to come out. PS3 has some weird issues in that one with, like, screen tearing and whatnot. But then, like, you know, Persona 5 got its re-release of Persona 5 Royale, which then has a whole nother can of worms.
Royale?
Because
Fortnite
Battle Royale.
yeah, because each version has, like, some weird differences that can usually just make for some odd issues.
No, but here's the thing though, that Persona 5 original I think was like 16 gigabytes, the PS4 version, and then Royal is like 37, which, by the way, it doesn't actually double the game's like size or content. It just like it expands on like what has already been established and adds like a different it adds like an epilogue. It's not like a whole game that's being added. It's an extremely unoptimized version, which I think is fucking crazy because the first game was already optimized to a T, but it's just they didn't do that much with the Royal, which I think is crazy considering it's still only 37 gigabytes.
Yeah, and it's like, again, if you were to add something like that to, like, if like a Mortal Kombat 1 epilogue or something comes out, it's gonna be like 100 gigabytes. Or, like, even if you don't want to do a fighting game, like, let's say an RPG, like, I guarantee you, like, Forspoken would never happen, but if it were to happen, it would be a lot of gigabytes as well. And it just goes to really show that it really is just all down to money now, which is really unfortunate because there are very few, at least AAA games where you can have like an actual optimized experience. Like, the only spot you're gonna get is maybe indie games, but that's because they're not very big to begin with.
That and Nintendo games, because like a lot of them are just forced optimized. But even then,
Yeah,
Nintendo's slipping up because their technology is really old. I mean, we've seen this with like Hyrule Age of Calamity. That game like has a lot of stuttering and FPS drops.
Really? I never experienced.
That's a horrible offender of that. Yeah.
Oh, I never experienced that. At least I don't remember.
I mean, switching the weakest hardware out there, but I mean, it has its age.
I mean, let's hope the Switch 2 is going to be somewhat better.
Hopefully, we'll just have to see in the future. I mean, they can still do good jobs, like Mario Wonder.
It's only like 3 gigabytes.
Yeah, plus when it came out, no day one patch.
Exactly.
Which I'm pretty sure the only reason it got a patch later on was because people found an exploit in the game, like they always do, to do some crazy speedrunning strategy. So,
yeah,
Nintendo had to patch that out as always.
Yeah, I think it's about time we start concluding the episode, boys. It's about that time for wrapping up. We'll go through our concluding points and then end the episode from here, so I'll let y'all start off.
I'll go first. So basically, like, I just feel like it's a really, like, if you are a scumbag businessman, then it's a great strategy. You get more money because you're making people pay for more expensive games. We did an episode about game pricing. You guys should check that out. But we did, like, you have to pay more to get the game, and then it turns out, oh, this game that's really expensive is also 150 gigabytes, so I have to go and buy another like $120 terabyte thing in order for me to actually have the space in order to get that, or I have to delete and re-download a bunch of stuff over and over again. And it's just a really unfortunate thing that more studios don't actually work to optimize their games, because as someone who, even though I don't like Mortal Kombat, even though I will agree that Mortal Kombat 1 is pretty bad, I still want to play it because I'm a fan of Mortal Kombat. And so
that's completely fair, man.
Yeah, and so the fact that I was just saying, so the fact that I'm either gonna have to like undownload a few games on here and then re-download them later, or buy like 120 like terabyte card just so I can play like the game and like Spider-Man 2, because I still haven't been able to download Spider-Man 2 because I don't have space for it. So the fact that I have to do all of that just to play the games that I paid for already is insane.
Wait, Connor, I have an idea. So, Mortal Kombat 1, you don't get it on the PS5. Instead, get it on the well-optimized Switch version.
Brewer.
Oh god, we didn't even talk about that. Oh god, please, no, that's for another episode.
Yeah, that's for really shitty games. That's our really shitty.
No, I'd say this fits because, like, it's really bad optimization because, like, yeah, the Switch ain't the most powerful, but I mean, I think everyone's seen the pictures from Mortal Kombat 1 Switch version.
This is honestly just on the fault of the developers, I feel like, because I will say they did definitely rush the game to get it out before, like, the new year. Because you can very much tell they rushed it, but you are taking what is essentially an unoptimized 140 gig game and putting it on the Switch, which means you have to unoptimize that even further, and so it's just a mess.
I mean, optimizing for anything on Switch requires a lot of work. Like Doom Eternal, it was originally supposed to release on the Switch along with everything else, but it got delayed back for like I think a year or two, just because it took so long to optimize it. Like, it's a great port, especially like for the Doom Eternal looks great. And the fact that they were able to fit it on a fucking Switch cartridge is amazing. But it required a lot of work with like managing textures, adjusting some lighting, and Lord knows what else behind the scenes to make it actually run the way it does.
Some games just shouldn't be ported to Switch. I'm sorry. But just some
Yeah.
No, that's completely fair.
But you hate money.
I mean, honestly,
Money.
but honestly, when there's games like Tears of the Kingdom on Switch, there really isn't. There is no reason like there's some games can't be ported to Switch.
That or some aren't optimized better.
But just depends on the
Jay,
devs.
Brewer, I'll let y'all do your points first.
I think with optimization, just like I don't think it's the first thing we're all gonna think about whenever starting up a game, but it's something that's really just become a huge issue because it's just taken all the convenience out of gaming. When I have to think about 20 different damn issues before starting up the game, like, oh, I have to copy the disc. It's like, okay, I waited on that. Oh, wait, no, I need to download the new 20 gigabyte update. And nope, now it needs to patch. Yeah. I just wish or hope that in the future the devs and publishers think things just get better. Like, I don't know how they would, in all honesty, because unless there's some rules put in place, the same shit's gonna keep happening. We're gonna keep getting games that are coming out half-baked. We're gonna keep getting games with like 50 gigabyte patches because they have no reason to like actually try and optimize them. But a lot of this is just coming at the detriment of the consumer.
If the money keeps rolling in, what's the point? You know, why don't fix something that isn't broken? Or what's the saying?
Vote with
if
your
they broke, they'll
wallet.
fix it.
I mean, you just have to vote with your wallet. If more people start seeing that, like if more people are like, this is a bad thing, we need to stop this, then just don't buy it. That's like basically the only way that's gonna happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, to some degree, you can only say that so much because, I mean, yeah, you ain't stopping people from buying the next fucking Pokemon game, you know damn well.
I know that, but
People are buying
like,
it just because it says Pokemon, man. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that. It says Pokemon on it.
Yeah,
Hell, I
same
love
here.
Pokemon.
Dude, they could release a $70 Pikachu shitting simulator where the only thing you do is press the A button and Pikachu shits. And
dude,
people
I would buy that so
up.
fast.
Definitely.
But I feel
No, that's fair.
this is just a
I think the only point that
Jay,
I
do you
want
have
to
any?
make.
Do you have any?
I think
go
the
for
only-
it. Yeah.
I think the only point that I want to make is I'm pretty much agreeing with Connor. Like with like people are like these developers are making like these incredibly massive game files, and people have to go and buy a expand the storage on the system just so they can even play it, then like going into the optimization of the game is like sometimes the game's not even fucking finished or runs right. So people are spending all that money to play this game and it's not even finished. And there's really just no excuse for it. It's like with what Brewer said is like developers are just being lazy.
Well, that and like, you know, publishers aren't giving them enough time.
Yeah, that too. Like there's some devs that are being lazy and a lot of it is just fucking developers. I mean, not developers, publishers.
It's a mixture. It can get confusing.
I feel like Activision is a mixture of the publishers and devs. Like there's no excuse for what Activision does. So it's just ridiculous.
No, that's entirely fair. What was I about to say? I guess I'll start with my concluding point. With that, I also my concluding point is that I do feel like I hate that gaming it's trying to make the excuse of, oh, it's only bigger because we have more resources and there is more stuff now for us to make bigger games, when in actuality, in terms of size, games have not exactly gotten bigger, they're just looking better, if that makes sense. And we're trying to use that excuse for a lot of shit when, I'm gonna be for real, if you are a type of person who complains about graphics or like wants a consistent locked 60 FPS, I don't fucking like you. Like, you're not looking at the game for what it is, and I feel like we're putting way too much leverage onto the idea that because the game looks better, it's justified.
That or the game is better because of that.
It's
exactly, yes, that's a big one.
I think a good analogy is like if you were to put makeup on a turd, because for those people, it's like this game is really bad, but it looks pretty.
It's like
that's what anytime I see something like that, that's what I think. It's like,
that are people complaining about guys, Tears of the Kingdom would be the best game of all time if not for the fact that it's on the Switch, so it looks like absolute dog water. It's like, motherfucker, we are not playing the same game.
That's not a real critique. I'm sorry, that's just not a real critique.
Tears of the Kingdom,
but it does. The art style is incredible, but that's for a future episode. But
yeah.
With that being said, like, going alongside what I was talking about, like the visuals and graphics, this goes on to a point of how, like, the jump from this the previous generation in consoles to this generation was not a very big leap in terms of what the newer consoles can do compared to the old ones. And I do pledge for for games to be optimized and only exclusive for the newer generations, just so we can focus on bigger and more impressive games. But in actuality, we did not jump that far in terms of like what the new systems can do compared to the old ones. And I feel like we're trying to we're a little bit of we have a little bit of copium, if I'm gonna be honest, with the newer generation. We're thinking, oh yeah, this game is so advanced and it's so different from the games of 5 years ago that it needs that extra 50 gigabytes just so it can, be bigger and be better. No, I hate to say it, it's not that, and we're on some copium with that, and I feel like the switch to the new console generation kind of fucked us with that, and like in terms of like justifying it. It's like, I mean, this game may be 100 gigabytes, but it runs at 60 frames per second, and it's so much fun to play on my PS5 with my 4K Ultra HD monitor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want the game to be fun. Graphics come after that. I mean, I like pretty graphics, but at the base, I always just want it to be a fun game.
Definitely.
So yeah, I feel like copium. I feel like there's a bit of copium with this. It's a complicated topic, and obviously, like a 50-minute video is not going to be able to cover like all the intricacies and the nuances of like the performance problems and the optimization problems in the current like landscape of video games. But I feel like as long as long as we know when to call out developers for being not developers, but just like games in general with publishers and developers sometimes, with knowing when a game needs to be like not released on shelves or it needs to be cut down in terms of like gigabytes in size, I feel like we'll eventually go to a point where we won't have these big jumps in gigabyte requirements again. And I mean, hell, there's even been articles recently coming out about this acknowledgement of gamers are fed up with this. They really are. They don't like having to uninstall their games to play new ones, only to be dissatisfied with that game that they just downloaded. So they have to waste a few hours, even a few days sometimes, to re-download their previous games. It's annoying. It's fucked.
Yeah, it is annoying. The only thing I think that's preventing us from like truly stopping it though is for every time that we say that, the games that are still causing those issues all the time, I'm looking at UCOD, are still selling like a gajillion copies.
Yeah, people are just this isn't an insult, but people are remaining ignorant about this kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
That I need to play some better games.
That too. They need a diverser taste, but that's everything from me on that. And is there, Brewer, do you have a concluding point? That
I had one, remember?
Oh yeah, my bad.
I think your brain isn't optimized, guy.
Yeah.
Shit, you're right.
I think that the publisher of your mom did not do a very good job.
You're right. I think there were some programming errors in the womb.
Yeah, your dad did not do a great job as a dev.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Whoa there. Oh my god. But that's a fucking incredible place to leave off. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like content like this and want more of it, please like and subscribe. Any of that will help us with the YouTube algorithm gods.
Please help us optimize our channel views. And maybe do that by optimizing your comment or something.
Oh yeah.
Create the most optimal comment so that you can get as many likes as possible on it and get a shout out from us maybe. But with that being said, guys, like, thank you all so much for watching. We've been FetchQuest, and this has been our episode on video game optimization and performance in the modern landscape. Thank you very much. See you later.
Bye, everyone.